Okay, I'll say it one more time. For the questions that are crossed out, those are the ones that you guys are going to be doing for homework. Everything else we're going to take up together right now. Okay, so get a sheet of paper. I'm just gonna, no, I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm gonna just delete that for a second and let's try some of these questions. So I'm gonna tell you format and rules and all stuff, all sorts of stuff like that as we do these questions, and you're gonna do them along with me. So question 1C is 3 over 4x minus 1 over 2y plus 1 over 3x plus 2 over 3y. And the question is basically saying simplify each of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify the like terms. And remember, a like term is something that has the same variable and the same exponent. So you're going to identify 3 over 4x, and the like term to that is going to be 1 over 3x. And feel free to answer these in the chat because I have it open and I'm going to follow along so you guys can use that to let me know what you're thinking of the answer. And then I have negative 1 over 2y, and that is similar to 2 over 3y. So once you've identified your like terms, you're going to gather them up. It's called collecting like terms. So 3 over 4x plus 1 over 3x minus 1 over 2y plus 2 over 3y. Be really careful because as you're collecting like terms, the sign in front of the number goes with that number. So see this positive, it travels with the 1 over 3x, and then when you rewrite it, you're writing it all together. See this negative, it goes with the half y. So when you move the half y over, the negative sign goes with it. The positive 2 over 3y, it also goes with it. Then we have a bunch of x's and a bunch of y's. So what we need to do is we need to solve these questions. Now, you are not going to be solving the question or the fractions within the actual solution. You are going to make a rough sheet on the side, and you're going to do your calculations here so you end up with a nice, clean final answer. I don't want your solution to be jumbled up. I don't want, some of you guys are in the habit of, like, if you have this, you're now going to do an equal sign and solve that, and then you're going to make an equal sign and solve that. That's really, really poor math format. You're going to lose marks for that. So proper format is you keep your solution all in one step, and then when you have these sub solutions, I guess, or like side solutions, you're going to go to a rough sheet of paper and solve them. So I'm adding these two fractions up. I'm adding 3 over 4 plus 1 over 3. So take your common denominator. We're going to multiply by 3 and 3 and 4 and 4. We're going to get 9 over 12 plus 4 over 12, which is going to give me 13 over 12. Do you need to change that into an improper fraction? A mixed fraction? The answer is no. You can keep it as an improper fraction and just leave it as 13 over 12x. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Remember, this sign goes with this number. So it's actually negative a half plus 2 over 3. Don't ignore the signs. Whatever the sign is, it sticks to that number. So this will be negative 3 plus 4 over 6, which will be 1 over 6. So our final answer here is going to be plus 1 over 6y. When you get to a final answer, you should ask yourself, well, can I add or subtract these numbers? And you're going to notice that it's an x and a y, and these are unlike terms. So you cannot simplify unlike terms. That would be your final answer. Any questions about that one? Nope, makes sense? All right. So usually, just because I think we have a little bit of a shortened time too, we only have an hour. I mean, usually we have like an hour and 15 minutes. I'm just going to keep going. The next example I'm going to do together is question D, and then you guys are going to try question F, and we'll take it up. And maybe I'll put the whiteboard up so someone can write the solution. Okay, but let's do this one together. So this is question 1. Which one was it? 1D. And it is 2 over 3x minus 7 plus 3x minus a half. Okay, So again, we're going to start off by collecting our like terms. And for me, the like terms are, for all of us, we're all doing the same question. It's going to be 2 over 3x plus 3x. And then you have a constant and you have another constant here. So when we collect those like terms, we're going to first start with 2 over 3x. And like I said, if you guys want, while you're collecting like terms, feel free to cross out the term that you've used. Usually when it's few terms like this, it's not that hard. But if I give you something with like a lot of terms, you may have to do that. Plus 3x minus 7 minus a half. Yeah, then the cross ones are going to be for homework, and I'm going to try to take up the rest of them, or not take up, but just like we can do them together, just so you guys have enough practice. So when you're doing them at home, it will make really good sense. Okay, so now we're ready to add our x's and we're ready to add our constants. So again, you're going to go to your rough sheet of paper. Don't do these calculations over here. That's really bad format. You're going to go over to a rough side and you're going to add these two numbers together. So we're going to add 2 over 3 plus a whole number 1. A whole number 3 can be made into a fraction by making the denominator a 1. Then you find a common denominator, which would be a 3, and you simplify. And the solution you get for this, that's your answer for this part. So 2 over 3x plus 3x is equal to 11 over 3x. All right, you guys are fast. Now we're gonna subtract -7 minus a half. So -7 over 1 minus 1 over 2, common denominator. Why, you guys, in the beginning of our class, it was so important for you guys to really get good at fractions, because fractions is one of those things that we're gonna see like throughout your entire high school math. Like it just never goes away. So it's a really good idea to practice fractions and try to get really good at them. So I saw a couple of you guys had this correct answer, 11 over 3 minus 15 over 2. Talk, you got that, Evan? Good job. That would be our final answer. Does anyone have any questions or confused as to how I'm getting the numbers, or they want to review fractions or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So like, you know how in the first step how you like square it and then like or put like an underline
Yeah.
during a test or something? Do we have to also do that, or can we just like
No. Yeah, you can just write it. I like to do that because some people are just a little bit more visual, and for them to see what's happening, it's almost like I'm coding it like, oh, all the boxes are together and all the underlines are together. You definitely don't have to do that. What I do expect you to do though is from the question, you need to collect like terms and then add. So I don't want you to go from the question to the answer. You have to show this middle step.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Your turn. You guys are going to try this next question. And in that time, I can do attendance. So let me write it down. This is question, which one did I say we're due? We just did 1C, we did 1D, 1F. And then I will write the solution on the screen for you. So -5 over 6x plus, ooh, this is actually interesting. So let me explain something to you. Plus 2x over 3 minus 3 over 4. I lied. I have to show you one part of this question. I'll give you a second to write it down. -5 over 6x plus x squared over 4 minus 1 plus 2x over 3 minus 3 over 4. Before you start this question, there's something really important I need to tell you about it. Okay, so you know how we're really used to seeing a fraction in front of the variable, so a coefficient in front of the variable. So for example, -5 over 6x, this is great. It's a coefficient and a variable. But look at this one. It's so odd. X squared over 4. Like that's not something we're used to seeing. What is the coefficient? What's the variable here? What I want you to do is when you have a term that looks like this, I want you to write the fraction 1 over 4 in front of the variable. So x squared over 4 is the same as 1 over 4x squared. And it's really, really important that you rewrite it because then you will get the question, it'll be a lot easier for you. So make a note, highlight this, make a star. Remember this, that x squared over 4 is the same as 1 over 4x squared. And I want you to rewrite it so that the coefficient is clearly written in front of the variable. I promise you, as you're doing questions, this step right here, it's going to make it so much easier for you. Okay, so let me just go on the side here just to show you a couple more examples. Okay, so like for example, 3x squared over 5, you would rewrite that as 3 over 5x squared. Or 2x over 7, you would rewrite that as 2 over 7x. One last one, x cubed over 10, you would rewrite that as 1 over 10x cubed. So you're basically just taking the numerator and denominator, making it a separate fraction, and then putting the variables beside it. But sometimes if there's nothing there, just remember there's supposed to be a 1. So the fraction would be 1 over 10 and then x cubed. Does that explanation make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, for some of you, you actually may not need to do this and you're just like, oh, this is an additional step. But I kind of want you to trust me when I say it makes the question easier. And when we get into when we get into equations, you're going to notice that doing this makes it like, it's honestly so good. So see this 2x over 3, I'm going to rewrite it. So it's 2 over 3 and then the x. Okay, so the two things that I have changed here that you're going to be mindful of is, I just didn't like that pink, is a little too harsh. This and this, put a star, highlight it so that you can always remember to do that. All right, I'm going to pause here and go do attendance. You guys finish off this question. Okay, so when I collect like terms, I notice there's an x squared here, but no other x squared. So this seems like it's kind of going to be a loner all by itself. We have negative 5 over 6x and positive 2 over 3x. Please notice that when I collect like terms, I include the sign in my little squares. And then we have a negative 1 and a negative 3 over 4. So when I collect these, I always put stuff in descending order. So even if you didn't do that, we could do that at the end, but I always pick the equation, the exponent that is highest. So we're going to put 1 over 4x squared. And honestly, nothing is going to happen to this because there's nothing else you can add or subtract. So this will kind of stay where it is. Then we have negative 5 over 6x plus 2 over 3x minus 1 minus 3 over 4. When I am collecting my like terms, this cannot be added or subtracted to anything. The x's will be added together and the constants will be added together. So we're going to get 1 over 4x squared. I'm just going to do this part in my head real quick. So negative 5 plus 4, this will become negative 1 over 6x. And this should become negative 7 over 4. Did you guys get this as a solution? All right, good job. So we've done 3 examples. So these examples were just simplifying polynomials, collecting like terms, adding and subtracting. We also last class learned about the distributive property. And so that is what we're going to be talking about next. So let's try question, and I'm just going to show you examples from this handout. So let's do question 1H, which is 1 over 4 bracket 2x squared minus 6x minus 12. And the instructions say simplify. And whenever you have the instruction that says simplify, I basically want you to get rid of the fractions. To me, the word simplify means I don't want to see any fractions around anymore. You need to somehow get rid of, I don't want to see brackets around anymore. You need to get rid of them and not have brackets. Okay, so how am I going to get rid of these brackets? We're going to use the distributive property, which is basically you take the number outside of the bracket and you multiply it to every single term inside of the bracket. Think of the things inside the bracket protected by these brackets, and in order for you to unprotect them or free them, this guy has to be multiplied to everything. Okay, so now you can either do the fraction work in your head, or Again, you can get a rough sheet of paper and do it there. The first part is going to be 1 over 4 times 2. So 1 over 4 times 2 is 2 over 4, which is 1 over 2. So I'm multiplying this number and this number, but instead of writing like 2 over 4, I'm just going to go to a rough sheet of paper. I'm going to simplify it as much as I can, and then I'm going to write the very final answer in my solution. So 1 over 4 times 2 simplified is just 1 over 2. And then this x squared, you just glue on to the coefficient. All right, no comments. Next, 1 over 4 times negative 6. So again, I'm going to go to my rough sheet of paper. 1 over 4 times negative 6. If you can do this in your head, great. If you can't, no worries. You can do it here. You're going to multiply and simplify these fractions. So 1 over 4 times negative 6 is negative 6 over 4. Divide both of them by 2, and you get negative 3 over 2. So my simplified solution here is going to be negative 3 over 2x. Okay, and then the final one is 1 over 4 times negative 12. So 1 over 4 times, and keep in mind, I'm keeping this negative sign with this number. This negative 6 was with this number. I didn't just ignore it, I'm keeping it with it. So 1 over 4 times negative 12 is negative 12 over 4, which would simplify to give me negative 3. So this number times this number is negative 3. So this was like a harder distributive question because you guys probably did the textbook questions, which were super easy. And so I wanted to get to questions that were a little bit harder. At this stage, can you simplify any of these terms? Can you add or subtract any of them or do anything with them? Nope, you can't. These are all unlike terms. So this would actually be our final answer and we could not do anything else with it. Okay, so you guys notice how question J I hadn't circled? Just because I'm keeping mind of the time, you're actually going to do question J for homework as well. So just go back to the sheet and circle question J, and we're going to end off with doing question K and M. By the way, if you joined us a little bit later, the questions that I've circled, which are actually crossed off in your handouts, but these are the ones you're going to be doing for homework. So 1A, B, E, G, I, J, and L. And we'll take them up tomorrow. So we're just going to end off by doing K and M. Okay, so question K, you guys are actually going to do yourselves right now. So 1 over 2 bracket x minus 7 plus 2 over 3 bracket 3x plus 1. Go ahead and distribute and solve as much as you can. So this is, as you can see on the sheet, it is the most complicated question. It has the most fractions and it's the longest. But that's okay because we have all the skills that we need to solve this question. Plus, do you notice how the question says x over 12? I'm going to rewrite it as 1 over 12x. And then it's negative 1 over 3. So you're going to notice that the question says x over 12, and please note that I have actually changed it and made it something that's easier for me. So to start off this question, what are we going to do? We're going to take the 1 over 4 and distribute it to everything inside of this bracket. Have your rough sheet of paper ready so that you can multiply. Some of them you may be able to do in your head. So 1 over 4 times 1 over 3, I know is just going to be 1 over 12, and then I'm going to stick the x squared to it. 1 over 4 times 8, do it on a side piece of paper. You're going to notice it's 8 over 4, so you're going to get 2x. And then 1 over 4 times negative 5 over 2, when you multiply this out, it's going to be negative 5 over 8. Hopefully you guys are okay with me not showing the rough work. Maybe for this bracket, I will, because I didn't for the first one, so I'll do it for this one. Now you're going to multiply the negative 6 to all of these terms in the bracket, and I'm going to take my rough sheet and I'm going to do the calculations there. So the first part is negative 6 times 1 over 2, which is going to be negative 6 over 2, which will be negative 3. So negative 6 times a half is going to give me negative 3, and then I'm going to write x squared. Then we're going to multiply negative 6 times 1 over 12. So negative 6 times 1 over 12 is going to be negative 6 over 12, which is going to reduce to negative 1 over 2. So this will become negative 1 over 2x. And then finally, let me move the sheet over a little bit. And then finally, we have negative 6 times negative 1 over 3, which is going to be 6 over 3, which is 2. So that will reduce to give me positive 2. I'm ready to collect like terms. So I have a couple of x squareds. Notice that I'm keeping the sign with it. I have a positive 2x and negative a half x. And then I have negative 5 over 8 and then positive 2. So when I rewrite them, I'm going to write 1 over 12x squared minus 3x squared plus 2x minus a half x minus 5 over 8 plus 2. Okay, so the squared numbers came here, the underlined numbers came next, and then the circled numbers came after that. We can add the x squareds together, we can add the x's together, and we can add the constants together, and you're going to need to do a little bit of work on your rough sheet of paper. So let's do blue. I'm going to just erase all of this so I can oh, it takes so long to erase. Is there a better way? Oh yes, that's the best way to do this. Erase that and erase that. Okay. Technology. Okay, so let's add these numbers together. So I'm still taking my rough sheet of paper. I'm going to go 1 over 12 minus 3 over 1. Multiply this by 12, multiply this by 12. So it's going to be 1 over 12 minus 36 over 12, which will be negative 35 over 12. So these two added together are negative 35 over 12 x squared. This is positive 2 minus a half. So positive 2 minus a half, this will just be 4 minus 1 over 2, which will be 3 over 2. So these two added together is going to give me plus 3 over 2x. And then finally, negative 5 over 8 plus 2 over 1. So multiply by 8, multiply by 8, you're going to get negative 5 over 8 plus 16 over 8, which is going to give me 11 over 8. So these two added together are going to be positive 11 over 8. So our final answer is negative 3512x squared plus 3 over 2x plus 11 over 8. It matches the answer at the bottom of the sheet, so we're nowhere right. This had a ton of fraction work. So like I said, if you're not so comfortable with fractions, please practice them over and over again until they make a little bit more sense to you guys. Okay, so that's the end of our lesson. Look over these and watch a video if you didn't understand something, and then do all the circle questions. And then those are the ones we're going to start by taking up tomorrow. And we'll continue with, there's another handout A2. It has even more fractions. So we're going to do the same thing tomorrow, more distributive and stuff like that. Okay, pause, stop.